Alright, hello. I am Burns. Comments ago I watched 32 Topaz's video on a minecart station idea, and earlier this week I saw his second video because why do assignments when there's YouTube? And this design is alternative to the first video, not the second, because I personally much prefer the idea of one centralized area where you click a button and then you go somewhere. But mine is use case, which is for me and single player, not really servers. But there's nothing stopping you from having more than one of these, so that say the first option will be, well then we'll go to the second one. And yeah, the first design was the input, which is this, which I am happy about. It is very heavily based on 32 Topaz's design, though. It's basically the same thing, just I cut the front half off. Made this a stone button, and yeah, I like it because it is spam proof. Do whatever you want. It'll choose the middle one. Oh, that's gonna annoy me. Anyway. Oh my. Anyway. Yeah, it's basically the same thing. There's two things I like about this. First is it's spam proof. The second one is the output doesn't change if you choose the same thing multiple times. This does need to be on this setting. If it's at this or that, it doesn't really work. If it's on that, it 100% doesn't work. It needs to be on this so that when it's pushed up, or that piston is still extended when this one tries to. But with the 3, the output flickers, which you could want, depending on the circumstance. Yeah, the second part was designing this. The concept of how I was going to make it tileable. And I call it the beat boop, because I think it's the perfect name. And as you can see, they go. But yeah, the actual hard part was as these power, they get to a part where like you want this and then the minecart to go down and then for it to continue on before it resets. But you need to pause it so that it can continue, so that the cart can go through and then put it through. The pausing part proved harder than I thought. Had a lot of different ideas. This is the main thing that I have basically chosen. Is it up or that way? Yeah. So basically it's this. When this gets powered, it'll push them along, and then this will be the only one powering. And then you can see as they come up, they power in order again, which you can see here. Yeah. So let's clear the selection. As you can see on the input, all of these are pushed down, which means if this line was to go, nothing would happen, which is what we want. And then when we repower it, they power in the order that we need. So if we choose the middle one, trigger that, it'll power this one and this one. And then once something touches a sensor, it'll reset itself. And the reason this is not finished is because It's kind of a pain in the ass to build. You have to place the rail only one at a time, and when the bulb is lit. So you quite literally have to do this. And if you try to do two, they connect together, and it no work. So it's a very tedious. If this was a lot longer, I can see this getting very annoying. But yeah, so now if we want it to just flat out work, it'll go down here, which is the middle option. So yeah, I quite like it. It's quite simple. The main part is just these pistons. You have to power them. You have to, you know, pull out the pistons that are doing this, whatever, and you have to power these before you power this line, and, you know, whatever. But that's basically it. Over here, the input is different, because when things are side by side and then, like, rotated 180 degrees, left to left becomes left to right. If I clicked this side, it would split it, but it would split it down here, and that works. It does work. You just make this the red line, but then it's like, you know, I much prefer it actually going down the red line, like so. So this was a proof of concept, just to see that it actually does work. Pretty simple, really. This subtracts from this because it's only going that far, and then this basically inverts it. One other thing, for if you're taking from this to design your own one, you can change the input and the output if you want. It doesn't need to be this. It doesn't need to be this. Like if you had a button for on and a button for off. So like, hold on. I'm gonna show you what I mean. Like now it's off. No line is selected. But if you go like this, I've got the first one selected, so you can't really see what's happening. Okay. So, go like this. This card is selected. If it wasn't for this rail, you could send 57 million minecarts down here. Nothing would stop you. And then, so you could have this be a button, and then this one be a button. The only thing you need to know is you need to give enough time for the minecart to actually get up here, which is important with the really fast rails. So the off I just have, it just re-triggers this, but not this. So it re-triggers the pistons, but it doesn't re-trigger the actual powering on line. And then once this is powered, it powers this, which runs the bottom line, which is the turning everything off in that order. If I just boom. Yeah. But while it's off, you can change all of these as much as you want. And it doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, these change, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. There's no zero tick madness happening. This is just a more compact version of this, because it's a lot of rails, and it's quicker if it's shorter, because it's rails. I made a very compact version because I wanted to not see the comparator that's underneath here. But yeah, it works. It does in fact work. Get a minecart for the 20th time. And yeah, if I press this, go into that stack. Nice and easy. I do have one in the nether as well, because I thought there was a chance that minecarts might behave differently in the nether. They do not. But I was also, you know, it was intended to be used in the nether, so I might as well copy paste it across. This is the more compact design. I have gone for a less claustrophobic design. I haven't built the whole way through though, because I can't be asked. Just note, this block does get powered, if you want to put a trapdoor on it. It probably flips. I haven't actually tried that. I've gotten rid of my minecart again. It's the same thing. Choose this. Then you're on your way. Yeah, it flaps. Would never have guessed that. My only qualm with this is the actual beep boop you can't really hear. You come when it's turning off, but like the pistons are so loud. Probably better for single player. Lots of things you could change about it depending on what you want, whether you want a high throughput to the same station to be an option. This is as close as I could get the two. This is a lot shorter than the input for the other one. All of the options do work. I don't know if I've shown the other ones, but I'll... And then the first one, I think. That should be 5 in a row down there. Boink. Yep. So they all do work. You can make them wider. There is a limit because of how the non-tileable part of it works, which I don't love that it's not completely tileable, but you know, it is what it is. You can get this part in there if you flip this to make the... I know Redstoners love to not have an extra bit on the side. They really care about that. So you can make it smaller if you flip this. I'm sure brighter minds than me can definitely make quite possibly every section of this smaller. But yeah. This is what I've done. This is what works. And you can also make this smaller as well, actually, where if you put these here... Is it those there? Yeah, if you put those there and you don't invert the signal, I think it was, and then you... Yeah. And then you have the comparators lower, because then the one that's on is the one that's not pushed up. Yeah. Which then would bring this that way one block and that way one block, which brings it not only it brings it closer to this by almost 2 blocks. Thank you for watching. Hope you learned a fraction of how much I learned, because I learned a lot from this. Oh, I'll do it for now. I'm going to sleep.